Hey guys, Chuck Simpson here. How you doing? Enjoying this nice Sunday afternoon on this good Easter morning. I'm just going to talk real quick today. I don't really want you guys to spend a lot of time watching TV. I want you to enjoy time with your family on this Easter day. But I would like to touch on a couple things that really strikes me about today. You know, everybody knows the traditional story of Easter. You know how Jesus was crucified and laid in a grave, and then 3 days later he came out of that grave victorious over death and sin and everything that, you know, that we could go through in our lives. And that's great, and it's wonderful, and it's powerful, but I like the week after. I like the week after he rose, because it's just so powerful to me that not only did he just do what he did and suffered what he did and came back the way he did, not only to forgive us and to set us free, but also for us to have a relationship, you know, with him, and how important relationship was to him, and how much he just loved that aspect of his creation, is just that relationship part of it. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit, and we're going to go down to where he's talking to his disciples, and he says, "And after this Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he revealed himself in this way: Simon Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two of the other disciples were together. Simon Peter said to them, 'I am going fishing.' They said to him, 'We will go with you.' Then they went out and got into the boat, but at that night they caught nothing." Now this is Simon Peter. This is the same Simon Peter that just a few days earlier had denied Jesus 3 times of having any association with him, of having any relationship with him. And it's very important to remember this as we talk a little farther into the show. Just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore, yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, do you have any fish?" They answered him, "Nope." He said to them, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." Now, I want to stop here for a second. Just think, they're out there fishing, and here's this stranger asking them if they've caught any fish. They've been up all night. I'm sure they're tired, grumpy. I know if I was up all night, I would be tired and grumpy and frustrated. And then here's this guy saying, "Well, why don't you try it on the other side?" And I'm sure that they probably tried it on both sides all night. I'm sure they didn't just try it on one side. I'm sure they tried it on the right side all night. But it says they cast the net on the right side of the boat, and they had so much fish in the net they weren't able to haul it all in. That disciple whom Jesus loved therefore said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. The other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, but about 100 yards off. When they got out on land, they saw a charcoal fire in place with fish laid on it and bread. Now this is kind of cool. This is the story I want to get to. This is the part of the story I want to get to. And this reminds me of my friend Jason. I mean, Jason and I are best friends. I mean, I love this guy to death. And if he had died, and then 3 days later I came home in my kitchen and there he was making me fish and bread, I think I'd be a little freaked out about that. I think I'd be like, this is just crazy. What is going on here? But the difference, I think, is with our earthly relationships and the relationship that Jesus wants to have with us spiritually. It's just the intensity of it. It's just the pureness of it. I mean, they were just so in love with Jesus that the fact that this guy who was dead and has appeared to them and is now sitting on the beach cooking them fish and making them a meal. The God of all creation is making them a meal. And it's just powerful that he just demonstrates so much that he wants to have a relationship with us. He's just not a God that wants to just fix things in our lives. He's not a God that just wants to be there when we need him. He's a God that desires to be there with us in all times, even if it's sitting on the bank of a river cooking fish and making fish for us. He just wants to do that so much. And So Jesus said to them, come and have breakfast. You know, none of the disciples dared to ask him, who are you? They knew it was the Lord. They knew it just by that love, just by that presence that Jesus had with him, that relationship that he had with him when he walked on the earth before the crucifixion, you know, before he went through all that horrible stuff, and just the love that he portrayed to them. They instantly knew who it was. It's like a baby. When you see a baby with its mother, you know, it instantly knows its mother's voice. It just instantly knows that connection. And you know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird story, but I just like to share stuff when it just, you know, I think about it. It's like I watched the show March of the Penguins, and my wife was watching that with us, and it was just like thousands of them all over the place. And the moms would go away to go fish, and the dads would stay and take care of the little ones. And when the mom came back, they would make this noise, and then the little one would make this noise. And out of all the thousands of people, the mom was able to find the dad and the mom just because of that noise, because they knew the noise, that specific sound that the chick made. The mother could hear that in the throngs of all those thousands of penguins. And for me, that's the relationship Jesus wants to have with us, and that's what he did when he died on the cross and rose again. Each one of us has a specific calling and a specific love cry to him that only Jesus hears in the thousands and millions of people. And he just portrayed that so much, even after he rose from the dead. I mean, just making dinner for people and breakfast and showing up in locked rooms and talking to Peter, which is one of the really, really greatest moments after the resurrection. Is, you remember I told you Peter denied him 3 times and basically said, I have no relationship with this guy. I have no idea who you're talking about. But Jesus, when they had finished eating breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. And he said to him again, he said to him, feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. He said to him, tend to my sheep. He said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. Truly I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and dress, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. And after this, he said to him, follow me. So it's just very important that Jesus took the moment here to spend some time with Peter, because Peter had just denied him. Peter had just said, man, I don't know you. I don't know him. I've never been around him. I don't know who he is. And, you know, even after Jesus told him he was going to do that, and Peter said, I'll go to the death for you. And Peter ultimately does, later on in his life, die for Christ. But at this moment, you know, he's just denied everything that he's just experienced the last 3 years. He's just thrown it all away and just said, forget it. And this is too much for me to bear to be associated with this. And so when Jesus was having that very poignant conversation with him, I just think 2 things were going on here. I think Jesus was reestablishing Peter back into the relationship, because Jesus had never severed the relationship. It was Peter who thought the relationship was severed because of his denial, but it was never severed. And that's one thing that's really cool that we need to remember. No matter how many times we deny Jesus with our actions and our works and our mouths and stuff, the relationship is still there. He still has a strong desire to have a relationship with us. And, you know, when he just desires that. He's a God who desires friendship and fellowship, and I can just picture this, all the disciples sitting around the fire, you know, with Jesus, who had just gone through all this. I would be in awe. I'd be like, okay, I'm good. You know, just like I talked about, if I was at the Red Sea, I'd be good. I'd be the most faithful Israelite ever. You know, but I say that, but who really knows? You know, and so it's just like no matter how many times we deny Jesus, Jesus uses the cross and his resurrection to not only show that he wants to forgive us, but he wants to have fellowship with us. He wants us to desire to walk with him. And you know, and I just want you to think about this today and tonight as you're fellowshipping with your family. You know, how are your relationships? You know, look at your parents and your loved ones and your brothers and your sisters, and what kind of relationship do you desire to have with them? And then just try to picture what Jesus wants to have with you, and then just love him and just enjoy the rest of the day. And with that, we're going to close. I just wanted it to be an abbreviated, just to give a quick shout out today on Easter. We'll be back next week with a full half-hour, exciting, nonstop, heart-pounding, just can't wait show. But anyway, just enjoy Easter, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the fellowship, and we'll see you again. Thanks.